Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Nope, not working for me. Who wants to hear that on a Monday? Anyway, welcome back. This is David Clyde to the Marketing Matters podcast of Orange Design and Hex Media Group. And today I wanted to cover a topic that I recently invented, and it's called ready to market but not market ready. So what does that mean? So being ready to market but not market ready essentially identifies the business owner who wants to get a lot of stuff done, but they're not really ready to market. Basically, they're ready to throw money at the problem. I'm ready to market. I want to go on AdWords. I want to go on Facebook. I want to do all these things, but everything else is not ready for that. So let's start with a couple of different topics I identified. And number one is, have you or your agency done the research that supports what you're trying to do? So has anyone looked at weak areas of customer experience? Has anyone looked at the pain points of your existing campaigns? For example, what is your conversion rate? Do you even know? What are your click-through rates? What are your bounce rates? And what objective are you wanting to achieve by either spending more or modifying this? One of the big things I see, as I mentioned a minute ago, people are always ready to throw money at something that isn't working well, and that's not magically going to make it work better. Right? If you have a poorly converting AdWords page, or you have a poorly converting social media campaign, or whatever you're trying to accomplish, let's say it's mailers or email marketing, etc., you just spending more money might get you more reach. So we might reach people in new areas. We might be able to send out more mailers. We might be able to get new ad traffic or even organic traffic if you're doing organic SEO. But if we're always sending them back to the same thing that's not converting well, people are bouncing off of it right away. Again, going back to the throwing money at it's not going to make that work better. You have to understand what is working, what is not working, and those are the things that you need to be laser focused on. So that brings me on to my next point is, have you or your agency actually outlined a plan? So we're talking about money a lot. Have you established a budget? Is it a good budget? Do you even know what a good budget is for what you're trying to do? We get a ton of people that come to us and they say, I'm going to leave it open-ended in terms of budget. I'm just looking for quotes, which is fine. We're happy to quote stuff. That's great. Not a big deal there. However, the problem is that when we're quoting things, often we have to have some type of budget to work with. And when people leave it open-ended, we might spend on our time 10, 15, 20 hours quoting something that the client might not go with. And that's okay. We are happy to provide quotes for people. If they don't move forward with the projects, that's fine. However, early on, identifying where that budget should be, let's say their budget is a lower amount, we're happy to quote something a lower amount, but we need to know what we're working with so that we can understand the limitations of what our time is going to be. I've said this often in other podcasts too, the more time we spend on something, generally speaking, the better it's going to be. It's going to be more polished. It's going to be better thought out. There was this old analogy I saw on YouTube one time where this guy was detailing a car and he was given different time frames, right? So if you have 15 minutes versus an hour versus 5 hours, and obviously the 5-hour car looked a lot better. They were able to do a lot more. Paint was shinier, etc. Dumb analogy, but I always try to sneak in one car analogy a day. When we're establishing a budget, another key thing to remember is when we're looking at the budget, what ROI is needed to sustain and grow? You can look online and often see what other people are spending for things. There's tons of different resources and forums. I mean, there's no shortage of information on the internet. But what ROI do you need to sustain and grow your business? The best way to simplify that is higher budgets are better for rapid growth. Lower or medium budgets are better for sustainability. So if you're trying to sustain your existing business or enter into new markets, a lower to mid-tier budget can sustain where you're at and slowly grow that. But if you're really trying to grow your business rapidly or enter into a completely different market aggressively, a higher budget is going to be needed for that so you can make the big splash that you're trying to do. You also don't want to overspend, right? And put yourself in a bad situation. So the average budget for any business, generally speaking, is between 7 to 8% of your annual gross revenue. So, if you're at $1 million a year, just to keep the numbers simple, you should be at $70,000 to $80,000 for the year for that budget. Now, again, if you're trying to be more aggressive, then you can up the spend and go into the 10% range or higher based upon what you're trying to do. And also, to close out point number 2, look at what the ROI is for that, right? So we talked about what ROI you need to sustain and grow your business so you don't put yourself in a bad situation. But also, if you're marketing super aggressively and that's working out well, you spending the extra money is also going to net you more money and revenue incoming as well. So for point number 3, look at who's doing the work. A big part of establishing a good relationship with the business and actually getting someone who's really interested in getting you market ready, how are you vetting these agencies? What type of questions are you asking them? Are you establishing the timelines? Or are they just basically telling you this is how long it's going to take. Are you establishing the budget, or are they simply telling you how much it's going to cost and you can either take it or leave it? Have they outlined, or have you outlined what platforms you're planning to market on? Are they different than what you've done in the past? Or another question would be, does it need to be? So for example, if you're currently marketing in AdWords or another form of paid media, is that converting it the way that you want? In our research, generally speaking, of course, because I can't go for every client, but there's different types of leads that come through AdWords versus it comes through organic. There's different types of marketing that needs to be done for services versus products. And you can't apply these this will fix everything mentalities to this. So you really need to outline, or your agency should outline for you, here's exactly what we're doing. Here's how this is different from what you're currently doing. Here's how you can expect this to perform. So let's move on to number 4, which is a key part of making sure that you're market ready. How is the success of all the things that we talked about going to be measured? I've mentioned this in another podcast. I've talked about it before. A plan that is well executed should be tracked so that you can see exactly what is happening now that we have this new thing out there. So for example, how are you getting your keyword position tracking if you're doing something organic? How are you looking at conversion increases or call tracking increases, forms and phone calls? How are people measuring that? And that can be applied to organic, paid, social, etc. Is there going to be scheduled monthly recaps and meetings to review your analytics, to review how many leads you signed up versus how many you actually received? Because that is 2 different metrics. I can get you a ton of leads all day, but how many of them did you actually sign up, right? Are we looking at that month over month? Are we looking at that year over year? Again, how are we dictating what growth is? How are we determining that success is happening? And is there any digestive work that's performed that month? You'd be surprised at how many people come to us and they have these agencies that we're working with. They don't get reports. Or if they do get reports, it's full of a bunch of fluff, such as impressions or clicks, etc. Clicks are good. I'll take clicks, but I'd also want clicks with conversions. But they don't get digestive work that's performed that month. So they have a basic outline from when they first started, but they don't have, this is what was completed this month. This is how things are moving. There's no real communication with the client. So, all these things really need to be put in place to be market ready. You don't want to come at this and just start throwing money at things and just have this wild card budget out there with these timelines and success metrics that can't be measured and nobody's tracking them. So that's definitely something to keep a look at. Again, I didn't want to make this podcast too long today. It was just a concept that I had talked about last week that we see a lot of people, again, that are ready to market. They're not market ready. If you found this information useful, definitely please like and subscribe to our channel. We do try to put out a couple videos per week. Obviously, we still maintain and run the business. Obviously, you can also contact us through our website, or you can comment on the YouTube video. We do read the comments to these. Or just give us a call. We're happy to answer questions if you'd like to discuss how we can help your business. Again, this is David Cly. I hope that you find this information useful, and we'll talk to you next time.